I'm Adrienne Cheatham. I'm a professional chef, and today I'm gonna show you how to make 3 salad dressings at home. We're gonna be going over techniques that pros use to whip up easy and delicious salad dressings. This is Salad Dressing 101. Today we're making 3 basic dressings: broken, emulsified, and creamy or mayonnaise style base. Once you have these basic ratios and techniques, you can literally get as fancy as you want. Oil and vinegar make a vinaigrette. So a broken vinaigrette means that no matter how much you agitate them and try to combine the two, they will eventually separate in the container. This is the ideal dressing for a simple salad served along a simple dish, like a roast chicken or roasted vegetables with a little side salad. A basic broken vinaigrette doesn't need anything technically other than oil and vinegar. So we are going to add some aromatics just to take it up to the next level. I like to use shallots or even red onion because they don't add as much of that sulfurous kind of funky flavor to your vinaigrettes. Add some cold water to the jar to let these start soaking. For this part, I don't need to measure anything because the water will get poured off. I'll probably let these soak for 2 to 3 minutes just to really help dilute the flavor of the shallot. The shallot has soaked for a little bit. Now I'm just gonna pour the water off and build my broken vinaigrette. Back into the same jar. The main thing to remember with vinaigrettes is kind of the ratio. For this broken, simple vinaigrette, I'm using 2 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. A lot of vinaigrette recipes that you'll see will say 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. For me, that is way too oily. For the vinegar, I'm gonna use 1/4 cup. I'm using red wine vinegar, but you can use any kind of vinegar that you want. You could use any type of oil as well. I prefer to use olive oil or extra virgin olive oil for my vinaigrette. So 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar, 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil. The only other things that vinaigrette need are seasoning. For that, we're gonna use 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. If you're using kosher salt, start with the same amount. Taste it, and if you need more, just add a little more. Black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon. The other good thing about using shallots in here is that the vinegar will kind of pickle them. So after a couple days of sitting in the vinaigrette, your shallots will have these nice pops of like pickled onion kind of crunchiness in your salads. So this is ready to go. You can pop it in your fridge and keep it for a couple weeks, shake it up when you want to use it, or you can go the extra mile and add 1 more layer of flavor to make your vinaigrette really special. And that is to add some thyme. I don't need to chop it. I don't need to do anything else to it. Just shake it up. The essential oils from the herbs will start to infuse in there. You could also swap out thyme for pretty much any herb that you want. If you have dry herbs in your pantry, add a couple pinches in here. And this is how you make a broken vinaigrette. So I have a nice light mesclun mix. A little bit of salt and pepper really changes a salad and helps bring out all the flavors of everything. For a basic vinaigrette, why not use a basic lettuce? Now, broken vinaigrette, you have to shake it and act quickly. So as soon as I shake it, I'm gonna drizzle, start tossing, and get right on the plate because it will really separate in real time. Just a light drizzle because a little bit really does go a long way with a broken vinaigrette. That is the perfect amount of oil and vinegar. Well balanced, really brings out the flavor of the lettuce while keeping everything in your mouth bright and fresh and ready for the next bite. We are gonna make a basic emulsified vinaigrette. Emulsified means that the fat and the liquid component, in this case vinegar, are fully suspended and dispersed within each other. So you're not getting separate oil and separate vinegar, you're getting a homogeneous mixture of oil and vinegar, fully emulsified, that will not break. You can take your broken vinaigrette and make an emulsified vinaigrette out of that. The only difference really is that you're adding an agent to keep them fully suspended together. So if I'm eating something richer, something fatty, something heavy, I would want something that's more of an emulsified vinaigrette. First, I need to anchor my bowl. There are a few different things that are natural emulsifiers. Dijon mustard is probably the most popular and one of the most effective. You have to start with the emulsifier and then add your liquid. I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt because everything needs salt. Pepper, about a quarter teaspoon, garlic. And you don't need to chop this by hand. I just like to use a microplane, a quarter cup of sherry vinegar. I love the flavor of sherry vinegar. It's a little earthy, a little funky, but you could substitute any type of acid. Lemon juice would work great. Got my whisk. I'm gonna make sure that the Dijon is fully dissolved into the liquid. And for this, I'm using regular olive oil. Straight extra virgin olive oil can get really bitter. In broken vinaigrette, I like to do 2 parts fat to 1 part acid. In the emulsified vinaigrette, I like to bring it up on the fat to 3 parts. The more fat that you add into an emulsified vinaigrette will make it thicker. I really want it to have enough viscosity to coat the lettuce nice and evenly. All right, let's do this. So you want to start getting the motion and then slowly start to add your oil because you really need to disperse that fat into the mixture to get it stable. Sometimes I use a blender for this, or even a hand blender. If you go too fast, it's just gonna stick together. All these tiny droplets of oil will not separate, they'll just come together and stay together in the vinaigrette. So keep whisking for a few seconds after you've finished adding the oil, just to make sure that everything is thoroughly combined. So if you see here, it's not separating, it's homogeneous and one color from top to bottom. That is thick enough to coat your lettuce beautifully. And if it separates, just use a blender and pour it slowly in with another teaspoon of Dijon mustard in the bottom. A little bit of salt and pepper. Here I'm using sliced romaine because romaine has a really high water content. It's crispy, it's crunchy. That'll help offset the punchiness of the emulsified vinaigrette. The emulsified vinaigrette coats the lettuce beautifully and gives you an even amount of fat and acid in every single bite. The sherry vinegar gives it a little bit of sweetness and it gives you that punchiness and a little bit of spice from the Dijon. The last dressing that I'm gonna show you how to make is an emulsified in the style of mayonnaise. The thing that makes mayonnaise different from another type of emulsified vinaigrette is that mayonnaise uses egg yolks as the emulsifier instead of Dijon mustard. So we're using egg yolks here to hold our oil and our vinegar together. I would love a creamy dressing with something lean and light like fish because it's gonna add some of that fat content that I'm not getting and help balance everything out. I'm gonna start with about 1 small clove of garlic, adding a half a teaspoon of whole black peppercorns, 2 egg yolks, about a teaspoon of salt. We're still sticking with 1/4 cup of acid, but half of that is gonna be lemon juice, and the other half of that is gonna be apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar is gonna give us a little bit of like funky, earthy, umami kind of flavor. And the lemon juice is gonna give us bright, floral, acid flavors to really liven up this creamy vinaigrette. Now, some people are kind of weirded out about using raw egg yolks. If you're not comfortable, buy pasteurized egg yolks and use that. Just like making the emulsified vinaigrette using Dijon mustard, we're gonna get this going together first before we start adding our oil. For the oil in this recipe, I'm using half a cup of neutral oil and half a cup of extra virgin olive oil. I don't wanna use 100% extra virgin olive oil because it will get very bitter, partially because that is the flavor profile. So using a blender makes a really stable emulsion and it's creating these teeny tiny, like microscopic globules of fat to be dispersed within the liquid. So you see how white and pale the yolks are already getting? It looks like they're cooked. Now I'm gonna start drizzling in the oil slowly, neutral oil. One thing that you really wanna try to avoid doing is jacking the speed up because if you go too fast, it can kind of shock the emulsion and make things break and separate. So I have some parsley and some dill, some of the tender stems and the leaves, and I'm just gonna put these right in, roughly chopped. And again, I'm gonna make sure my speed is on low, and I'm gonna start to let these herbs just break down a little bit and start to flavor the dressing without becoming a full-on puree. There, just a couple of seconds for that, and we are done. Oh my God, that is so pretty and it smells so good. And that is how you make a creamy vinaigrette. A little bit of salt and pepper. This has a good amount of black pepper in it, so I don't need too much. This vinaigrette is thicker, so I'm not just gonna pour it. These greens are in the chicory family, so everything has a little bit of bitterness, a little bit more hearty flavor, and they stand up to a thicker vinaigrette because they have a more assertive flavor of their own. I love endive and kind of bitter chicory greens. That is so floral and so herby. You're getting all that dill and all that parsley, little bits of pepper. Everything is so well balanced. You get some brightness and acidity. You also get earthy notes. Like, this is a meal in itself, or it can be served alongside something. But to me, a creamy dressing with all this beautiful flavor and aromatics is kind of the main event. This is the kind of salad that I would add a very light protein to, like a poached or just simple chicken breast, and really just let it absorb all the flavors around it. Another thing that I would do, a little endive and just use it as a dip. It's so versatile. Making salad dressing at home is really easy. You get to use up a ton of ingredients that you already have in your pantry, and you get to leave out all the unwanted additives that are in store-bought processed salad dressing. Once you have the basic ratios and techniques on how to make these different types of salad dressings at home, you can do anything your mind can come up with. I'm oil. I'm liquid. We don't like each other.